Hello all, welcome to i-tutor Academy. In today's session, we will start with Unit 2, Subsession 7 of MMBZ 007, that is interpersonal barriers. In last videos, we just discussed about intrapersonal barriers. So today we will continue that. You just revised the last video. Okay. And intrapersonal barriers are caused by an individual's attitudes or habits, whereas interpersonal barriers are caused by the limited communication abilities of either coder, decoder, or both. And furthermore, they may arise as a result of disruption in the communication route or medium. When two people are communicating, the features that define them as individual might be the source of a communication gap. In a business environment, we neither attempt to change these traits nor can we do it. However, we can try and understand how difference in individual traits cause communication gaps. The most common cause of interpersonal barriers are limited vocabulary, incompatibility of verbal and non-verbal messages, emotional outbursts, communication selectivity, cultural variations, poor listening skill, noise in the channels. These are the common causes of interpersonal barriers. In limited vocabulary, inadequate vocabulary can be a big communication barrier. We occasionally find ourselves looking for the perfect word or phrase that best express what we want to say. If we fable for words during a speech, it will be leave a poor impression on the audience. So there is the limited vocabulary is the one reason, and incompatibility of verbal and non-verbal message. Non-verbal cues provide a deeper insight into the sender's message. Ignoring or misinterpreting non-verbal cues might lead to the message being entirely misinterpreted. As a result, not only should one strive to read others' non-verbal clues, but one should also be mindful of one's own body language. One can follow certain guidelines to improve the physical appearance to give a strong impression. This can be dressed appropriately for the event, keep your clothing tidy and clean, choose a suitable hairstyle, wear clean and polished shoes. So the first looking attire. Emotional outburst. In most cases, a moderate level of emotional involvement intensifies communication. Excessive emotional engagement, on the other hand, might be a communicator barrier. Extreme range, for example, might create an emotionally charged environment in which reasonable debate is difficult. Likewise, prejudice, stereotyping, and boredom all hinder effective communication. Positive emotions such as happiness and excitement also interfere in communication, but to a much lesser extent than negative feeling. And communication selectivity. The communication selectivity is a barrier imposed by the recipient in a communication process when she pays attention to only a portion of the message. This happens because he or she is interested only in that part of the message which may be of use to him or her. In this case, the sender is not to blame, the receiver is one who interrupts the flow of communication. And cultural variation, this is one of the most predominant interpersonal factors contributing to communication failure. As businesses are crossing national boundaries to compete on a global scale, the outlook of the global and domestic workforce has changed drastically. European, Asian, and American firms have extended their business worldwide to create international ties through partnership, collaboration, and affiliation. The management and employees of such an organization need to closely observe the laws, customs, and business practices of their host countries while dealing with their multinational workforce. And poor listening skill. Poor listening habit are a frequent communication barrier. It is important to keep in mind that listening and hearing are not the same thing. Hearing is a passive activity, whereas listening involves deliberate attention and correct decoding of the speaker's information. Sometimes an individual is so engrossed in his or her thoughts and worries that he or she is unable to concentrate on listening. If a superior goes on shifting the papers on his or her desk while listening to his or her subordinate without making eye contact with the latter, he or she pays divided attention to the speaker's message. Noise in the channel. Any desirable signal that obstructs communication is referred to as noise. It is not restricted to aural disruptions but may also take the shape of visual, audio, visual, textual, body or psychological manifestations. Each of these kind of noise transmit additional information that might detract from the message and even upset the receiver. And organizational barriers. So main organizational barriers are too many transfer stations, fear of superiors, negative tendencies, use of inappropriate media, information overloaded. These are the main organizational barriers. So communication obstacle exist not just between individuals or between two person but also inside the organization. So in every company regardless of size has its own communication strategies and must operate under its own communication environment. So these are the main, we already discussed, too many transfer stations and fear of superiors, negative tendencies, use of appropriate media, information overloaded are the main organizational barriers. Okay, so let's see what is too many transfer stations. The more links there are in a communication chain, the greater are the chance of miscommunication. Imagine, for instance, that your professor asks you to convey the message to X. You, because of some inconvenience or sheer laziness, ask your friend why to do this job. Now there are four people involved in this communication channel. So what happened, the final output is maybe something different, right? And the fear of superiors, fear or awe of superior hinders subordinate from speaking openly in strictly organized organization. Some employees may avoid any conversation with their superiors in order to avoid speaking directly to their employer. Okay, and negative tendencies, many organizations create work group. While some groups are formed according to the requirement of the task on hand, such as completing a particular work project, other small groups are also formed for recreational, social or community purpose. The student member of the sports club of an educational institution may be annoyed with the non-student members who create obstacle in allocation of more funds for sports equipment. This type of opposition give rise to insider outsider equation and paves the way for negative tendencies in the organization. Use of inappropriate media. While choosing the medium for a particular occasion, the advantage, disadvantages and potential barriers to communication must be considered while deciding the medium, such as phones, emails, computer presentations, teleconferencing and video conferencing. The following factors should be considered: time, type of message, cost, intended audience. So in example, the telephone is not a good medium for delivering sensitive information. Such communications are best delivered in person or by private chat and message if the receiver is in the other office. And next is information overloaded. One of the most serious issue confronting business today is the loss of efficiency caused by the manual processing of enormous amount of data. Information overloaded is the term for this situation. The usual result of information overloaded are fatigue and disinterest and boredom. Under these circumstances, further communication is not possible. Important and essential information is frequently mixed in with too many irrelevant data and overlooked by the receiver. As a result, information quality is far more essential than quantity. And related case study is here. Let us now go through a case study which explains the concept of communication failure. So communication failure case study is here. In this section you just go through your IGNOU study material. It will help you for your more understanding. Okay, so you just go through this portion. In between any doubts you can contact us anytime. You just read this and activity also based on this case study, so you just do it. It will help you. And summary of this unit 2 is here, and in this unit we have learned the ways to communicate. This can be one way or two ways. We have understood the process of human communication which helps in avoiding the pitfall which take place at the time of communication. The unit discusses the linear concept of communication which tries to address 5 basic questions and is a one-way process in which the sender sends the message to the receiver without getting feedback. The second model which was discussed is the Shannon-Weaver model, where it was found that during the process of communication, the message can be blocked and therefore feedback was introduced. Later on, the unit discussed the two-way process of communication. The unit also discusses the barriers of communication, which can be intrapersonal, interpersonal and organizational barriers. The unit ends with the discussion of all the aspects of the process of communication through a case study. Okay, so this is the summary of this unit, and keyword section is here. If you feel any words are difficult, you just refer this section, and self-assessment questions also here. Okay, you just do, it will help you for your term and examination parallel with your assignment questions. Okay, differentiate between the Shannon-Weaver and two-way model of communication. We already discussed in the last video, the unit 2 starting, right? And what are interpersonal barriers to communication? Discuss. Distinguish between interpersonal and intrapersonal and interpersonal. Intrapersonal we already discussed in last video, and interpersonal barrier we discussed today in this video. So you just compare that, distinguish between two. And what are the main organizational barriers to communication? Discuss. Explain the following terms with the reference to communication barriers with the example, that is emotional outburst, cultural difference, know-it-all attitude. Okay, so these 5 questions you must do, and it will help you for your term and examination. And for more MBA videos, you just do like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much.
i-tutor Academy presents IGNOU MBA complete syllabus coverage classes for individual students, semester-wise subject with online and flexible timing. For more details, contact on +916 238 21785.